are two ways of hatching chicks from fertile eggs: in an incubator and under a broody hen. Which is best? Let's have a look at some of the differences.
There's a lot to learn about using an incubator to hatch chicks. You need to maintain just the right temperature, humidity, ventilation, turn the eggs enough and in the right way, and stop turning at the right time. With a broody hen, she knows all of that stuff and does it for you. So for expertise, the count goes to the broody hen. As long as you have fertile eggs available, you can hatch chicks in an incubator anytime, all year round. But a hen is only broody when her body says it's time to be broody. She's influenced by the season, temperature, light and darkness, but you can't make a hen broody. You just have to notice when she is broody and take the opportunity. And once a batch of chicks is hatched, a hen is pretty busy with those ones and won't go broody again for several months. Whereas as soon as one batch is hatched in your incubator, you can put in the next batch. So that's definitely one for the incubator. One broody hen can effectively incubate about 8 to 10 eggs of the same size as her own breed. That is, a big hen can brood about 8 to 10 big eggs, and a bantam can brood 8 to 10 bantam-sized eggs, while a bantam can only brood a smaller number of big eggs. Incubators, on the other hand, come in a range of sizes that can incubate anything from 3 to 12 to 20 to hundreds of eggs, all in one batch. There's no doubt an incubator is better if you want to hatch a lot of chicks. Incubators are expensive, costing anywhere from about $100 to thousands of dollars. Even second-hand or homemade incubators are still expensive by the time you include all the thermometers and hygrometers and so on, especially if you want automatic turning. Now, not all breeds of hen will go broody, so if the breeds you want to own are not the broody kind and you want a broody hen, you might need to buy a hen of a broody breed just for that. So you might buy a hen specially as a broody, and she might cost a bit, but not hundreds of dollars. There's no doubt a hen is cheaper to obtain than an incubator. What about running costs? An incubator takes electricity to run, so that's an ongoing cost you have to pay. And you don't need electricity to run a chicken. But you do need to feed and house and care for her, even when she's not actually hatching eggs for you. So maybe the running costs are about even. Things can go wrong. With an incubator, you can get a power failure and suddenly your eggs are not being kept warm anymore and they can die in a few hours if you don't have a backup plan. A hen doesn't get a power cut, but she can suddenly decide she's not broody anymore. She can get frightened off the nest by something, even a thunderstorm, again leaving the eggs to get chilled and the chicks inside to die. In both cases, it's a good idea to have a backup plan, whether it's a second broody hen waiting for fertile eggs or a warm insulated cupboard to hold the temperature until the power comes back on. By the way, if you do have to resort to Plan B, make sure whatever you do, you don't overheat the eggs. The developing chicks will survive a while at temperatures a bit lower than ideal, but they will quickly die if you get them even a degree or two too hot. So something like a hot water bottle is not usually a good Plan B, but you need a backup plan, whether for hen or incubator. Candling is the method of looking inside the egg at the chick developing inside by shining a light through the eggshell in the dark. It's incredibly amazing and wonderful to see the chick develop from nothing to a tiny spot inside a spiderweb network of blood vessels, to a little live thing that moves about inside the shell and grows until it takes up all the room inside. Of course, you can candle eggs from under a broody hen, but it's disruptive to her and risky as well as not so convenient, so you really shouldn't do it often throughout the 21 days she'll be sitting on those eggs. Whereas as long as you're careful not to damage the eggs or let them cool too much, you can watch the whole miraculous process if the eggs are in an incubator. It's wonderful to see this beginning of life. There's no doubt it's more natural for a chick to hatch under a broody hen. Even before the egg hatches, The hen talks to the chick inside the egg, and eventually the chick even peeps back. The newly hatched chick is cuddled and sheltered amongst the hen's feathers in a way that no brooder box will ever duplicate. To be honest, it doesn't seem to make much difference in the long run. The chicks grow up just as fast and strong and healthy and well balanced, regardless of how cosy or sterile are their earliest surroundings. But there's no doubt that hatching under a broody hen is more natural. Having watched the beginning of life and the tiny chick grow inside the egg, it's just awesome to watch that final struggle to chip away at the eggshell, make it first one small hole, then crack a line all around the shell from the inside, with no tools and not much muscle either, until this tiny, fragile chick breaks out of the egg and into the world. That's something you don't get to see if the whole thing takes place under the hen. In fact, you probably won't even get to see the chick for a day or so. But if you hatch in an incubator, you get a chance to watch the whole drama. On the other hand, once those chicks start to get around, there's nothing cuter than seeing them poke out from under the hen's feathers or nudge her to get her to make space for them to crawl underneath. That's just a delight to watch, and you only get that with a real live hen.
So, what's the score? Well, one isn't really better than the other. It just depends on what you want, what you have, and what best suits your purpose. And I hope you now have a good idea of the differences between them and how best to make your choice. What do I do? Well, I do both. I mostly use an incubator and raise the chicks in a brooder box. I have occasionally had a hen who took it all the way through 21 days of incubation and then raised the chicks. Actually, I often do a combination in which I hatch the eggs in the incubator and then give them to a hen to raise. That way, I get the best of both. And I can have as many chicks as I want. I hope you enjoy my videos about chickens and find them useful. If you do, please hit the like button. That tells me you really do like them. Subscribe to my channel and then you'll always know when there's a new video about the chickens in my garden. And do leave me some comments. I'd love to get back to you and chat about chickens. Thanks for watching.